creator of the JIA blueprint. And what I want to talk to you about today are the 3 prongs that we follow inside the JIA blueprint, to reverse your child's autoimmune disease, neurological disorders, and most importantly, juvenile arthritis quickly and completely. If this information is something that you highly value, if you have a child with juvenile arthritis or you yourself are struggling, or if you know somebody who is, please like and subscribe to my channel. Share this with whoever you think it might benefit, and that way more people like you can have access to this information. So let's get started. How do we reverse juvenile arthritis so quickly and completely in the JIA blueprint? Well, one reason why we get such wonderful results is because of the ongoing coaching that I provide in order to help you to reach your goals. But I wanted to share with you today really what is the foundation, like what are we doing inside the blueprint that makes us so successful. So there's 3 prongs that I like to call them 3 prongs, and 3 different ways that we attack juvenile arthritis in order to get the most complete and full healing that is possible, and do it in the quickest way possible. So the first prong that we address in the JIA blueprint is the leaky gut. I'm sure that you've heard all about a leaky gut by now. If you're here on my channel, it's something that the scientific community is really starting to recognize. When my daughter was diagnosed with juvenile arthritis over 10 years ago, this was completely ignored and regarded as ridiculous. But I'm so glad that now the scientific community, the medical community, is starting to understand the connection, not just between the gut and the brain, but the health of our gut and the health of our overall body, and also the real phenomenon of what's going on right now with people's guts being permeable and toxins getting out into the bloodstream, into our tissue, causing all of this autoimmune disease that we're seeing today. So the first prong, what we deal with first, is the leaky gut. What we use in the JIA blueprint is what I've coined the SURE method, because it's sure to work, but it's spelled SHER. And what we do is first we seal the gut, then we heal the internal lining of the gut. We eliminate and remove any kind of pathogens, parasites, yeasts, things like that. And then finally we rebuild with real good, healthy bacteria. This is the core, this is the root of what we do in order to stop further autoimmune disease from taking place in the body, because really the root issue are these toxins are getting out into the bloodstream. And if we don't deal with the gut, not just the fact that the toxins are getting out of the bloodstream, but also dealing with the body's ability to absorb nutrition, which all takes place in the gut. The imbalance of good and bad bacteria, so that way this doesn't happen again. All of that is the foundation for beginning to address the joints and the toxins that are in the joints and the inflammation that is in the joints. And I think that's why at first a lot of people are like, well, what do you mean a leaky gut? How can my child's gut have anything to do with their joints? Well, they really are 2 separate things. It's just that one thing has led to another. So that leads me to the second prong and what we do inside the JIA blueprint, and that's detox. So what I want you to understand is that when the gut becomes leaky, toxins get out into the bloodstream. And fortunately, our body's designed in such a way that the fatty parts of our body will, like a magnet, attract these toxins to keep them out of the view of the immune system. And so that's why we find these toxins inside our child's joints and tissue, in our child's case that have juvenile arthritis. But depending on where in your child's body that went ahead and took these toxins in, that's where, when the immune system finally does detect them, that's where the autoimmune disease will take place. That's where it will get its own special name. In this case, we call it juvenile arthritis, but it really is no different than any autoimmune disease. The only difference is where it is in the body. So detox. So let's talk a little bit about that. What's happened is that the fatty part in our child's body, maybe their tissue and joints in their knees or their shoulders or their wrists or their pinky fingers, or maybe their eyes or maybe, their brain, could be their thyroid, it could be their pancreas. There could be a lot of areas that now have inflammation. And that's because of that wonderful mechanism of the body's fatty areas attracting these toxins. But we need to get these toxins out of the body. And so what happens is the body naturally, these fatty areas of the body, they naturally purge these toxins out from time to time. What they're expecting is for the body to be able to detox these things, for the liver to be working properly, the lymphatic system, all of our, our urine, our bowels, all the different organs that we have, including our skin and our lungs, as detox pathways, that they're all functioning optimally. But unfortunately, since this problem has been going on for much longer than we realize, and these toxins have been pouring into their body probably for years and years, their detox pathways have become extremely sluggish. So what ends up happening is the joints and tissue that attracted the toxins, they go and they dump them for the detox pathways to clear them out, and then those pathways are all backed up. So what ends up happening is the toxins end up circulating again through the body, another fatty area picks it up, holds on to it for a while, may or may not get the attention of the immune system, dumps it back into the body, and it just becomes this cycle. Think of it like a dirty fish tank that needs to be cleaned, right? It just becomes this cycle. So the second thing that we need to do, that second prong, is we need to get these detox pathways moving and working, because this is a cycle that's taking place that if it just keeps going like this, all that's going to happen is that autoimmune disease is going to spread. It's not, we can seal the gut all we want, but if the detox pathways are still sluggish, these things are just going to spread throughout the body. So that's the second thing that we do. The third and final thing that we focus on in the JIA blueprint, the third prong, is epigenetics. Now, epigenetics is the study of our genes, and it's a very new understanding that although we are passed on certain genes, our genes do not define our health conditions. These genes can either be switched on or switched off based on our environment and our lifestyle. So many of our children, whether they inherited, flipped on autoimmune genes when they were born genetically, or maybe it's something that happened to them because of their gut, what we had spoke about earlier, that it happened more manually. But either way, we have to consider both possibilities, and that most likely, because of the environment that we even grew up in, our generation, and even our parents too, maybe not so much our grandparents, that it's very likely that what has even started this process for a lot of our children is the fact that they were just handed a flipped on genetic code. So what we do inside the blueprint, the third thing that we do, is we work on shutting down, turning off these genes that are flipped on, saying, I have autoimmunity. So, and this is different than what we do, what is done with meds, which completely shuts them downward, shuts the genes downward, which causes a whole other, shutting down the immune system, suppressing the immune system. What we do is we modulate the immune system, which is much healthier, much more beneficial, and much more successful, much more, a better success rate, and all of that is handled with our onboard functional medicine doctor. So those are the three prongs of the JIA blueprint. That's why it's so successful, because we're not just going after it with, better diet. We're not trying to eat more vegetables or stay away from gluten or stay away from sugar and hoping that we're going to reverse our child's JIA. A lot of times we make significant diet changes and we see an improvement, and that's because what we're doing is better. The body likes it, but it is not reversing the JIA. We need to seal the gut and completely rebuild that entire ecosystem. We need to completely reestablish and rebuild these detox pathways and get them moving again like a strong engine that just goes by itself. And then we also want to address the genetic component of what is causing the JIA and bring those genetic markers back down to neutral, modulate that immune system. So not only do our children not have autoimmune disease anymore, their children we won't pass it on to they won't be able to pass it on to their kids either. which is wonderful and amazing. So if you have any other questions for me whatsoever, please feel free to leave them in the comments or reach out to me privately. And look forward to talking to you on other subjects, anything having to do with juvenile arthritis and reversing it, so our kids can live a vibrant, happy, promising future, and we can be present for our entire family now and not be so stressed out about this diagnosis with this short, really relatively short period of time that we have with our kiddos. All right, have a good one.